last time on Dice Funk.
I've not observed any villagers eating rats, and the rats are usually assigned to the cat to consume, and I wish to have a cat.
Rats are a constant threat to keeping the food in the restaurant in one piece.
Every time the genius of Grendel does an experiment, roll intelligence, Chris, and we're going to improv what you've learned from this.
Moving around and pieces of metal start flying into it, and at the end of it, there's like a small robotic drone in their hand, and they just kind of toss it into the air, and they say, "Ah yes, that is bloops! That can cover everything!" And that is my warlock familiar.
I mean, Ozzy's already befriended one animal. Let's go ahead and just bring in a shark horse into the conversation here.
So, could this be a magical explosion? Like they had some sort of...
Or a creature that escaped, maybe?
Ah. Or a person escaping.
And I think you can tell everybody that this is a yokai.
Oh.
Oh.
That's a botch.
Can I trap him in a box?
You can certainly try, yeah. As a botch consequence, you tell me what you do.
I want to like they're gonna swarm at me, and I want to grab a box, and I want to let them fall, they fly into the box, and I want to close it and just duct tape it around 12 times.
I'm now curious if there's other food elsewhere going wrong instead of the rice.
In my mind, I'm like, this might be a possession yokai.
Well, outside of town that would be the farm, but I'm guessing in town that's gonna be the restaurant.
Well, I'm not sticky. I'm slimy. I'm very slick. You try to grab onto me and I'll just slip right out of you.
All right, so we're doing the introduction. So Mari, tell us about yourself and about slime to get us started.
Hi, I'm Mari from Geek Remix, and I am playing as Slime. And they enjoy eating brains, absorbing memories, and sitting there motionless and staring at what they think is their pet named Cat, who's a giant lion half-ant thing.
To be fair, that's also how I treat cats, is just staring at them and just kind of saying weird baby talk under my breath. Just like, you're so cute. You're a precious little baby.
From what I can tell from cat owners that I've observed is that owning a cat is mostly staring at them from afar while their cat breaks things, and then once a month they pet them.
I'll go next. My name is Michael Skitchiano. Most people just call me Skitch. I write music on the side. I help manage the Dice Funk YouTube channel and do other technical support stuff. And I'm playing Aze, the Hobgoblin Star Druid. Hopefully, and suddenly just friend of animals really rapidly.
That's not out of the druid wheelhouse.
No. I just wasn't expecting that to happen on episode 2. Just get a hammerhead best friend now, I guess, with that animal handling check that happened last episode.
But yeah, I was not expecting that either. Some really good rolls last week, so we'll be carrying some of those forward. You got a lot of advantages in your corner. I guess I'm talking now. I'll introduce myself. Austin Yorsky, Dungeon Master, NPCs, you know what it is. I think my pitch this week for patreon.com/Austin Yorsky is every month we do a credits episode, and that doesn't sound that interesting. Credits? What? I skipped those. Our credits episode is actually very funny. It's read by Lauren Morgan of Let's Talk About Snacks and Joa of Having a Normal Human Job. And they, in addition to reading the credits, just have fun and talk about whatever strikes their fancy. And they have a very natural chemistry that's just a joy to listen to. It's that good parasocial stuff you crave. So I would get in there because at the $5 level, you get your name on the list they read. And if you have the funniest name of the month, That's the name of the episode. So you can have an episode of Dice Funk named after you if you're funny enough.
Absolutely.
What if you're not funny enough?
Then they'll relentlessly make fun of you. They'll dunk on you. They'll tell you have a little dick and they're going to step on you.
Well, now you're appealing to a very different audience.
Wait, that sounds awesome. Wait, I thought that was what we wanted to do.
Listen, we serve both audiences. If you're very funny, they'll say, wow, that's a great name. And then you'll get your name in the title. And if you're not funny, they'll be like, you pathetic worm. What do you think you could just come into this show and speak to us?
For free?
You sicken me.
This is free?
$5.
Oh, $5.
Yeah, you got to
That's
be a
pretty good
Patreon.
deal.
Yeah, you've got to support on the Patreon to get into the credits. That's the whole thing. You got to pay to get called a piece of shit.
Is there an exclusive be yelled at tier?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you put in $10 a month, do they like mail you some CBT? Is that what they call it?
I don't know what that is. What is that?
Cognitive behavioral
Isn't that
therapy? What?
cock and ball torture? Is it that?
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, that is also CBT. CBT can mean many things.
CBT can be cock and ball torture or cognitive behavior.
I don't think I've ever heard it said out loud before, so it's just like it's like a cool acronym.
Here's the thing, CBT, I assumed you were saying cock and ball torture, but then I went, wait, how do you mail order that?
And also, that's just not Chris's brand, honestly.
Oh, it's just a mouse trap in the mail.
Oh my god! You gave me an idea for slime.
Just make your backer name, please call me a piece of shit.
Pay more money, get yelled at better. 2021.
Oh boy. This got very psychosexual. Chris!
Hi, my name is DJ Pecan Pie, and this season I'm going to be playing a character who is actually a shard of my heart. And if you collect all 17 of them, then you get a gem.
What's the point of even doing this introduction if you're not going to introduce yourself?
Austin, look, you can't start fucking Mission Impossible 19 with somebody being like, I don't know what the main character for Mission Impossible is called, but he's like, hey, it's me, Tom Cruise's character. I'm introducing myself. I've been here for fucking ever. Everyone knows who it is. All right. And if you don't, you're good.
There's a reason that we introduce ourselves on episodes 1, 2, and 3, but not episode 19.
Well, the Mission Impossible series actually is starring Tom Cruise playing as Tom Cruise. It's not a film of fiction. It's a docu-series. So.
It's funny you say that because I feel like I don't know the names of 99% of action movie heroes, but I do know Ethan Hunt, the lead of Mission Impossible, because those movies actually kind of whip ass. So
see, I know his name's Ethan Hunt, but only because it rhymes with something else that feels kind of applicable.
Mm-hmm.
Laura, spicy. That was a spicy one from Laura.
Oh, so good. Fantastic.
I will say that introducing ourselves is important because every season is a self-contained story, and we, there's always going to be new listeners, especially when you have such spicy characters as the zombie wizard and the illithid chef. I think that gets people listening. I know a lot of people told me they listened because they heard there was a barbarian unicorn in one season or a Yu-Gi-Oh wizard. People love that shit. So I want to hear about the squidling chef.
Yeah, so I'm Laura. I go by Laura K. Buzz on various places on the internet, and I play Neellith, who is a squidling bard who they're a mix between a tentacle Cthulhu alien that likes to eat brains and a little goblin. So they're just a cute little ball of tentacles that makes vegan brain substitutes.
And
does cooking magic.
So, Laura K. Buzz, our squidling bard, our good chef friend, last we left the adventure, you all came to the realization that the yokai, which you brought into the village and which possesses food, would almost certainly head for the nearest collection of food, which is in your restaurant. So we need to start with you setting the scene of the restaurant. Tell us about it. What does it look like? What's it called? Let's just get in here and do some world building.
Oh, I've been wrestling with what to call this restaurant literally since episode 1. Every day I've had a short list, I had a long list, I've been whittling it down. I think the restaurant is called, and I think this is applicable for a mind flayer illithidi restaurant, the Wined and Dined Flayer.
Question. Is there, for no reason, like a little like neon light animation thing of like a mind flayer flipping like a skillet or something like that with like a little cute brain being flipped into skillet or something?
100% indeed. There is a cute little animation. Like there's a little wink being done with the neon lights.
Oh yeah, of course. No, what's winking? Is it the chef or the brain, or both of them are winking at you?
Oh, but now you've suggested that both of them are winking. The brain has a little happy face on it as well. You know.
There you go.
Exactly.
Is it Brainy, your mascot?
Yes, it's Brainy the Brain. I'm made of vegan alternatives.
Now, and lastly, is the daily special Mind Over Mutton, or is it something else?
Oh, I want to tell you about some of the recent specials we've had at the Wined and Dined Flair.
Mm-hmm.
There was a week where all we did was meals that involved pork products, because that week it was the Swined Flair week. There was a week where everything was seasoned with either like cheese or bacon or lemon. You know, it was Rind Flair week.
Oh my god!
Keep pouring it on.
Oh, okay. There was a week recently where they made sure not to have too many processed foods on the menu that week. Not things that had been sort of refined too much. It was the unrefined Flair. Today, as we walk in, there is a dessert that is the special of the day. It is the medulla oblongato.
Oh, gato, Gateau.
Yeah, medulla oblongato.
I was so confused. There's an item, I think, in Pokemon called like the something gato, and I was a kid, and I was like, "What the fuck does that mean?"
Yeah, not super up to date on your gatos.
No.
Fucking Americans not knowing any fucking British dessert terms.
I'm all for the gâteau here. Okay, so,
Yeah.
but I think we have something else to worry about. Mainly, is the gâteau possessed or not? I think it's the first question we have entering the scene.
No, it's not. Well, let's hope it's not. We'll find out when we get in there. I can tell you one thing about the medulla oblongato. It is cranny yummy. Cranny yummy.
Ah, fantastic.
I hope you're ready for this to be this whole fucking season.
Love it.
Okay, so this is also your house. So you've described this before a little bit, but can you give us a full up look at least the first floor? If you live on the second floor of this building, it's like this is kind of the most important place in town to you.
Yeah, so I think that it's kind of cheesy decor on the inside. I think that Skitch's discussion of the idea of the neon sign of the person flipping the brain in the pan, I think that captures the energy of this place. It's slightly cheesy tourist trap kind of energy. This is the kind of thing where, like, yeah, during the winter, she's only really going to be serving the locals, but, like, when the big rush comes through town, she wants this to be a tourist destination that all of the people running through town are like, brain theme restaurant. Not tried that before? Sure, why not? Probably playing up the Mind Flayer thing, the whole Illithid thing, a bit more than would necessarily, than she would do for the locals, because, you gotta have a gimmick as a restaurant.
Yeah, to the locals, you're just Neely. Everyone knows you. But to the adventurers who come through the mountain, this is like a big thing. It's like that restaurant, which is famous because the people who work there are mean to you.
Yeah.
It's like an experience.
Oh, Wiener Circle.
Yeah. So, I think the thing about this restaurant is that, during the winter, now that, everything's winding down, a lot of the stuff is just, piled up in the corner to get it out of the way because we don't really need it for this part of the year. So, there's a corner that's got brain-shaped beanbags piled up against the wall. You've got, I don't know. You've got cartoon... You've got little standees of half cartoonish, half scary mind flayers that are, they've got the hole cut out the face so you can put your face through and be like, oh, look, I'm the Illithid here at the Illithid restaurant.
I do love that because, mind flayers are some of the most fearsome creatures in D&D, but in our setting, they've just been commercialized, and it's all these people are like, yeah, get your portrait drawn with your head through a standee of a elder brain or whatever the hell.
It really sells the sort of the almost like the tourist attraction vibe that Grendel has during the non-winter seasons of the year in the setting.
Exactly. Like, I think there's a corner where you've got like a fake backdrop painted, so if someone wants to get a photo of themselves faking being scared as the very scary chef Illithid comes to eat their brain, you know, it's stereotypical, but I think that Neely's just sort of accepted, like, this is how you get people through the door, and they're having a good time. It's fine. As long as it brings them in and they have a good time, good by me.
Yeah, you'd think the snow season would be the least I relate to something as someone who grew up in Florida, but the tourist vibes, this is extremely Southwest Florida, where there's like 6 people who live there half the year, and then when summer rolls around, it's just an absolute tacky nightmare hellhole.
I think as well, like, a lot of the walls of the restaurant are covered in, like, anytime anyone even vaguely notable came through town on their way up to the top of the mountain, or that seemed important or maybe famous, who knows, their photo got taken and it goes up on the wall. You know, it's that kind of level of place, I think.
Yeah.
Love it.
All humans, elves, and dwarves in like big plate armor, and they're all like knights and stuff, and they're all so excited to pretend to eat brains in your restaurant. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's the vibe as we walk in, is off-season tacky themed diner.
So I think if you had rolled worse last episode, there would be a knowledge deficit, which would make this situation more complicated. But I think you got here really quick because the genius Grendel rolled, I believe, a 26 on history. So you absolutely know what's going on, and you put everything together very quickly. And so I think as you like march towards the back of the restaurant, I guess I'm trying to think, do medieval restaurants, they don't have freezers per se. But you know, like what are they called? Larder, right? It's a larder. Oh, I should read more fantasy books.
Yeah, like a dry, coolish room.
Yeah, and so you're like
with shelves. Yeah, a larder.
You're like, yeah, that's where the yokai is hiding, and you all just march there, weapons raised. You're not gonna get taken by surprise. And so the yokai just breaks stealth and comes flooding out of the larder in a wave of molten nacho cheese.
Oh no, that's gonna be really hard to get out of the hardwood floors.
Roll initiative.
Oh boy.
It's gonna be my whole afternoon now, just scrubbing cheese out the floor.
All right, so Neellith, you start. You see this flood of liquid cheese coming out of the larder, and I think it starts to take on a vaguely humanoid shape. I think the head section is like a wheel of cheese, like a big Gouda wheel, but the rest of it is just, pure liquid monster, and you get a chance to do something before it attacks.
I'm trying to find a spell that isn't going to just demolish my entire very nice restaurant.
Yeah, actually, I think that's an interesting wrinkle to this fight, is that you all want to protect this building. So I think what I'll say is you can take disadvantage to do an attack safely without any chance of damaging the restaurant. Or you can get advantage to attack recklessly to damage the restaurant for sure.
You know that Chris is going to take that.
If you choose to attack normally, then there's just a chance that there'll be some cosmetic damage, mostly with botches. I'm not going to punish you for attacking normally, but I think that's a fun risk-reward mechanic now that you say it, Neellith.
Okay, Neellith is going to attempt to cautiously cast Thunder Wave in an attempt to not ruin too much of the restaurant.
All right, that's a con.
That is a Constitution save, so, yeah.
With advantage on their part, then, I guess, yeah.
Yep, the best stat for the yokai, interestingly enough, that's a 24, a crit that doesn't do anything, but just except for half damage.
So that's 9, which is halved to, it's rounded down, isn't it, to 4 damage?
Yep, to 4.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like the flavor on this, though, as you see the yokai emerging from the larder, and you raise your frying pan, and you're like, I'm going to blow this bitch up. And then you look around, and you're like, oh, I don't want to ruin my restaurant. And so when you do the spell, it's a much smaller splattering explosion.
It's not even, like, so much the restaurant itself. It's the restaurant is organized how Neely likes it. She's very organized. Everything has a place, and no ruining it, please.
Very tragic. So the cheese monster kind of pulls itself together more solidly. You see that it has, like I said, the big Gouda wheel at its head. I think it has the kind of gooey mozzarella stick like arms, and it kind of whips them at you almost and tries to hit you, Neellith, because you're in the lead here. You attacked 15.
15 will hit, I believe. Yeah, 15 hits.
All right, Neely, 14 damage as you get mozzarella smacked down with all the force of this yokai. And it is Slime's turn.
Can I roll around and cat? No, that wouldn't work. No.
I just like the idea of you rolling around, though. That's fun.
I choose Shocking Grasp at the cheese.
Are you doing it carefully, normally, or recklessly?
Carefully. So it is
12 actually hits. The cheese is not wearing armor.
All right, so that's 2d8.
I mean, yeah, it's not that difficult to cut through cheese.
Yeah. So roll it's 2d8 damage, and as an added note here, the cheese cannot take reactions until the start of its next turn. So
Oh, balls. Okay.
it's been tasered.
Yeah, and actually, I'll say that counts for my legendary actions because I was going to attack Slime in response. But I think the spirit of that is that the cheese is too shocked. I think technically the rules lawyer within me says that legendary actions are not necessarily reactions, but I think that's the spirit of it.
Sure, that's fine.
in the name of friendship. I shock the cheese.
I like the phrase "shock the cheese." It's shock the monkey adjacent. What's this look like? Do you just touch it with your gross hands and it's shocked, or is there an actual electricity component?
I walk up to it and say, in the name of friendship, I shock the cheese. And I shock the cheese by touching it.
All right. So not a lot of damage, but you avoid being counterattacked with the electricity, and it's the genius of Grendel's turn.
So I get an advantage if I do what?
If you attack recklessly.
Which means you have a higher chance of destroying the restaurant.
And then say I cast lightning bolt.
Uh-huh.
I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna fire a crossbow just regularly. So the genius is going to shift slightly in their chair and move one arm up, and there's just gonna be a button underneath, and they're just gonna slam it, just like punch it, and a little slot will open up in the side of their wheelchair, and a crossbow arrow is going to shoot out at the cheese.
All right.
7.
No. I think the way that works is that the bolt hits it square in the tummy and then just gets slurped right in there, just uselessly.
Excellent.
Was not expecting that response, but good.
It's a result. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You have to take the experiment results however they come. Aze.
Aze sees the concern in Neely's eyes and is going to try to help, cautiously burn things down here.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean literally burn. So he's going to tap into another starry form. So he expends a use of wild shape. Light kind of traces along his body, and a new constellation forms along his arms. This one, there's two constellations. One is a constellation of what appears to be a hand, and the other one is like a serpent or a snake. And this is the sign known as the Manipulator. And this is acting in place of the Archer starry form. So basically it grants him a bonus action attack he can do every turn.
Cool.
So that forms, and then so he has his one hand holding his star map, the other one points out at the cheese, and he will do his bonus action attack with disadvantage to just try to get a hit on the creature here. So this is going to be with the +8.
My word.
That's a 14.
Hit.
So that's a D8 +5. So that's 13 damage, radiant.
Nice.
And then he is going to follow that up on his main action by just going whole hog and just casting Guiding Bolt as a 3rd level spell, once again with disadvantage, to hopefully hit the cheese and get something going here. And he rolls a 19 on his second attack there.
No, that one doesn't hit. Isn't that weird? No, I'm just kidding.
Damn.
Now, this is radiant too, right?
Mm-hmm. And this is going to be 6d6 radiant damage. And so that's 26 radiant damage.
Oh, my word.
And the next attack made against the target has advantage, which means you can take the attack normally at no risk by nullifying the disadvantage there.
So that actually does all the HP to get to a threshold ability this monster has, which is once it drops to a certain level, it escapes. I've seen this once already when the genius of Grendel trapped the rice in a box and the rice just stopped moving. The cheese begins to, lose its firmness and kind of, melt down onto the floor. But as it does so, it does fire the crossbow bolt out of itself at Aze, almost like petulantly, like, you stop that hurts. 21, that does hit.
Ooh, 21 hits. No, that hits really well. Yeah.
So actually, Genius of Grendel, can you roll your crossbow damage against Aze?
10.
Oof, it's a stout hit right against Aze there.
Yeah, so a parting shot. The yokai tags Aze with the crossbow bolt as the cheese kind of melts onto the floor. The restaurant, miraculously unharmed during this fight. Radiant damage really turned the tide at the end there. That was, over 60 damage in one turn. My word. But yeah, it's going limp. There's like a moment here where someone might be able to say or do something as the yokai spiritually flees the scene.
All right, so I walk up to Neellith and I say, "Fear not, my friend, for I have the solution to your woes." And I open my maw and make out a gurgling, nightmarish sound as yellow liquid pours from my mouth and pours everywhere.
I think this is going to become a reaction GIF after the HBO adaptation comes out.
I like to think that this has happened before enough times that like. Not only does Neellith know that this is okay and that this is fine and will fix everything, but has also taken the time to check this, and it is a sanitary. It is a sterile fluid. It's fine.
No one else understands, though. Only Neellith.
I think during this, Neellith is sort of floating around on the floor, just checking all the little marks she's made on the floor as to where the table legs are meant to be, just to check that they're all still in place and that nothing's been bashed about too much.
And do I need to roll anything for the mending?
No.
All right, and then after all of the slime and monstrous goo comes out of me, I say, "Now I will be a part of your restaurant forever. It is bound." And then I walk away.
That is an honor, thank you.
I would like to cast a spell. I'm not going to tell you what the spell is first. I'm just going to pull out a black gear and throw it at the yokai. And you make me a wisdom saving throw.
So ominous. 5, bad.
So I cast Enthrall. So I'm going to charm this creature.
Condition immunities: charmed, exhausted, frightened, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned.
You can't be charmed.
I'm sorry, bud. Yeah, I did not see that coming, but I did have charm as an immunity, unfortunately.
The black gear will disintegrate into the air.
Ah, drat! This is a tough thing to experiment on.
Oh, you could say that again. Genius
I didn't even have the opportunity to heat up the arrow and make everything explode with cheese.
Let me remove it from my arm before you do that.
No, it's already gone.
Oh god, I really need to get that cheese up off the floor before it sets in. Oh. Neellith starts getting a little chisel and trying to scrape up the cheese while it's still partially melted.
So the party attacked carefully throughout the whole thing, so there was never going to be any serious damage. But with mending from slime, there isn't even any minor damage. I would say that once this little cleanup session is done, the restaurant looks as if nothing had happened. So congratulations on that.
Almost as if it's alive now.
Oh no, Mari. I'm scared.
Ozzy does remove the arrow from his arm in any case.
Yeah.
And then works to heal himself a little bit as he has a seat at one of the tables.
Neellith is going to heal herself by eating her healing food, her little pack lunch.
Yeah, so for short rests, we usually just roll hit dice, or you have a chef mechanic where you can make a little healing food. For the audience, you don't have to worry about it. We do a relatively small number of encounters per level, so short rests are pretty powerful and just kind of top up the characters between fights. And then long rests are whole ordeals that usually get their own episodes, as the characters will level up and recharge their hit dice, their healing resource. So you don't have to worry about it too much, but essentially after every main fight, the characters will heal if they are able.
Well, in terms of the food, I think that, like, Neelith has specifically gone into the back in the kitchen, is rustling up some stuff specifically. I don't know what everyone's favorite food is outside of ours, but if anyone's got a favorite meal, I would like to think that Neelith has at least a small, like, batch of it ready to go at a moment's notice.
I don't think the genius has one. I don't know if anyone's seen the genius eat before.
Has the genius ever ordered anything in the restaurant?
No.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna headcanon this as I think that every time that Neelith has tried to bring the genius food, every time she has basically thrown darts at a dartboard and tried to go for something completely different to be like, maybe this will get a response. So today it's going to be, I'm definitely not pulling up anything to have a look at, some temporal lobe. Temporal lobe.
That's great.
Yeah.
I just had
temporal
tempeh.
lobe. Yeah, there you go.
I'm trying to go as vegetarian as possible, IRL.
So, does the genius show any response to being offered this?
Oh, thank you, but I am quite full at the moment.
Of course you are.
It smells quite good, though.
I mean, it's got all sorts of, vitamins and things in it that are really good for a busy working brain.
I imagine so.
You could do some real good science on this.
What, like as a table?
No, by consuming it and then doing good science.
Perhaps a hypothesis to test later. I think we should go investigate the yokai right now.
Neelith puts this into a packed lunchbox and, like, sneaks it onto the back of the chair. You're taking this home with you, whether you know it or not.
So the party cleans and heals up, and we can set the scene of kind of if you want to eat the specific foods to bolster yourself before the next leg of this adventure. But here's where we actually enter the main gameplay loop of Season 8. Laura, are you excited about gameplay loops?
We've gotten through the tutorial. What's the gameplay loop? What am I doing? What is the actual game?
Is this Among Us this season?
It's not Among Us, although I've seen a lot of people guess that.
Speculate
which is fun.
that, yeah.
No, basically, you're going to encounter problems in this season, and then you're going to have to solve them. And the way you mostly will be able to do that is by going to one of 10 locations in Grendel, each represented by one of the NPCs. These NPCs will have information and items and other various assistances to offer you, and those will help you solve your problems. So it's kind of, imagine anytime you're at a loss for what to do, a little menu will pop up with 10 choices.
Yeah. Also, you can go see images of all of these characters over on Cosmignon's Twitter.
Yes.
At Cosmignon. Yeah.
So the villagers are Marina, the tailor, Applewhite, the farmer, who we've already met, Sun, Moon, Stars, the gravedigger, Ruth, the therapist, Shoko, the blacksmith, actually mentioned in episode 1 as where the genius went at the end of the workday, Gigi, the governor, we met last episode, Very, the pastor, Venta, the barber surgeon, Hale, the historian, and Potter, the bartender. You know all these people, and you know, just from context clues of their profession, what kind of information they could offer you. So you're all sitting here, you're eating, except for the genius who's being evasive about it, and you all talk amongst yourself and decide where to go next.
Well, I mean, Potter as the bartender might know something just on the chance that this thing's is inhabiting food. Maybe it inhabits drink too. I don't know. Maybe they might be a target to worry about.
I believe that we should go see Hale. With the library, we could find all sorts of knowledge that perhaps would give us answers.
I mean, that is very true. That probably would help. The only other thought I have is maybe Very, because as a pastor, they might... This thing seemed to be damaged by radiant damage. Like, maybe there is some kind of religious element to understanding what this thing is?
The genius has an audible groan and eye roll at the suggestion.
Look,
Mhm.
look! It's the church magic that's good against it. The church one might know something.
If you've seen the Genius of Grendel's character sheet, it's mentioned specifically that the genius does not care for Very, the pastor.
I'm assuming that you're is the genius the living embodiment of like atheist YouTubers?
Oh no. Oh no, that'd be
Oh no, a religious figure can't.
Listen, there's got to be some rivalries in the season to spice it up. They all can't be your best friend.
It's Animal Crossing season. They can all be my best friend.
Oh no, that's not true. I play Animal Crossing. There's like 2 villagers I start up fights with. Like I just like
Chris plays Animal Crossing for keeps.
Listen, okay, I'm just waiting for Beardo to leave the island. That's all I need right now.
I will be clear, out of character too. I perfectly like Very is also a very good suggestion. I just wanted to note in character, my character's like
Yeah.
F that.
Here's
Oh,
the
yeah,
thing.
for sure.
My thinking is the historian is a very good all-round suggestion if we don't know who else to go talk to. I think that if we've got an idea that is a bit more specific to that case, that might be worth doing, and that's why I suggest the pastor, but that might be a dead end and we might just go see the historian anyway.
The only problem is that Slime was going to want to eat the historian more than usual.
Oh yeah, I like that because it's someone who loves knowledge and gains it by eating people. I think it's just like a cartoon where you're stuck on an island and the person, you start hallucinating that they're a big ham. It's like that, but all the time.
They won't eat them.
I know.
Because they know they shouldn't, but they want to.
But Hale is so juicy from your perspective.
Just waiting for them to die of natural causes, so it would be okay.
I think Neellith is gonna suggest to the group. I think it's worth us asking Very first, just on the off chance that there is something holy type going on about this. If they don't know anything, I promise we can go and look at some science books that aren't based on people's feelings. Does that make you feel better, Genius? Do you feel better if we agree to very quickly leave if nothing is useful?
I can be outside while you go talk to him.
No, you don't want to use your big genius brain to work out the puzzle of what we need to ask to get the information.
Oh,
No?
I can pick out the holes in Vari's arguments from outside the room. It is okay.
Genius is sitting in the parking lot making the dismissive wanking gesture for half an hour.
Okay, but I'll tell you this, Genius. If we go in there and we learn something, I'm not going to tell you what we learn. There's going to be knowledge that you won't have.
Excellent! Something new to discover.
You tried valiantly. Don't worry.
Uh,
I would be outside the room in case the cheese monster attacks again.
Yeah, I think because you got a 26 on your history check about yokai, I think the genius is well aware that the yokai will move to the biggest, nearest source of food next, which will be the farm. But because of the righteous ass beating it just took, it will take a while for it to regain its strength. So I would say you're like, oh, we probably have a couple hours before Applewhite is in danger. So you're gonna go there, you know that. But it's not like, oh, we don't have time to check for weaknesses.
we've got time to say check both with Very and with the historian as well, and probably be fine.
Well, yeah, that's going to be the question going forward. Is that usually I'm going to say you always have a chance to check one location. Checking two will be pushing it into danger territory. Usually it's like, oh, is this a big risk? Will there be consequences? That's Dice Funk, is making hard choices and having consequences. But one visit will pretty much always be safe unless I say otherwise.
But in this case, two will probably be safe because the thing has taken a beating.
Maybe it is, but maybe it's not.
Okay, so we go see Very. So Very is an orc. Now, it's something important to know about orcs in the Dice Funk setting is that they are not the orcs you're probably used to. Here is the short history of the orc. Orcs, obviously popularized by Lord of the Rings. They are, part of a long tradition of little guys, goblins, hobgoblins, imps, gremlins, just little guys throughout culture. Or the Lord of the Ring orc kind of became a standard. But then Dungeons and Dragons had an orc, and it was an anthropomorphic pig. That's what we're working with. These are pig people.
If you've ever seen like Ganon in sort of like stood up pigman form, like kind of that.
I mean, explicitly, because what happens in later editions of Dungeons and Dragons is that D&D moves to a Lord of the Rings style orc, which I think eventually becomes set in stone by Warcraft.
I was gonna say, yeah, it feels like it becomes a World of Warcraft orc eventually as well, just with green skin.
In the West, orcs become essentially non-negotiably Warcraft-esque at a certain point. But in Japan, the D&D orc from the 70s, the pig, actually caught on and stayed their default. So in JRPGs and in Zelda, the pig orc is the default, and that's explicitly why Ganon is a pig. That's why that is the way it is. But also in a lot of manga and anime, orcs are just pigs. They're also known as porks. For pig orc, obviously.
They're awesome.
Well, let's go see our friend Pastor Ganon.
Pasta Ganon, huh?
Pasta Ganon.
Slime screams in excitement. Just a long scream.
We already had a Flavortown orc situation way back in season 2, so...
Oh, we did, yeah. This is, yeah. So, Very is a big pink pork, pig orc. Just like a heavy set, jolly looking fella wearing kind of priest robes. Cosmignon's illustration of him is very friendly. I think religious figures in Dice Funk have a history of being antagonistic, but I look at this and Very is friend-shaped, I gotta say.
I mean, look, it takes a lot for me to think that a religious figure is friend-shaped, but you're getting there with this one.
I think the religious building Very is in, that's very Very, as in the intensifying word, is a big igloo. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of just like an unassuming igloo. You kind of crawl through the entrance. I actually did a lot of research, but igloos in the run up to the season, they're fascinating. Apparently the interiors have to be curved at a specific like parabolic angle to trap the body heat. It's fascinating. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty warm in here. It's like body heat temperature as you crawl into this. It's a big igloo. Once again, did a bunch of research. The igloos can be dug into the ground and they can have multiple chambers. This one is fairly big, so you can stand up inside and there are like multiple rooms. I will say that there are a couple of statues in here, or maybe statuettes. Like there's like small pillars with little statues on them. 3 religious figures. There is an owl, there is a snake, and there is a cat. Mm-hmm. on these pillars. You probably know some, but if you want to roll religion to know more, you can always do that.
12.
22.
21 and 22, a super pass. I think all of you have probably heard Very's bullshit plenty of times. I'm saying bullshit, that's kind of prejudicial. You've heard Very speak at length about these figures. They're just referred to as like the cat, the bird, and the snake, the serpent. This is kind of like a trinity of old gods. Because in our setting, there was the old world, essentially original D&D with its pantheon, which includes real-world ancient pantheons like the Norse gods, the Egyptian gods, the Greek gods. Mm-hmm. All of that was destroyed. You're living in a post-apocalyptic world. And above you, at the top of the mountain, is a portal to the new world that the old gods created to start over. And people are just now beginning to explore it and get ready to move up there. And you were kind of living in the last days of the old world. And these 3 figures are the old gods, or the old gods that people still know and care about. And I think that they're venerated as people. Like, they were born as mortals who became godlike. And that's kind of the way gods are now in the world.
Do they have specific names at all besides just the snake, the other 2, and I think there might be a 4th one?
Yeah, it's kind of like Judaism where you're not supposed to say Yahweh. It's like there are names for these figures, but people just call them. But they're not spoken. Yeah, just to be respectful. With these good rolls, I think probably you know them, and you can probably say them if you want to be a dick.
I was like, I feel like I know who they are, but I didn't know if colloquially they're referred to as anything else or just...
If the genius just wants to be a dick and shout them through the door, that's apparently on the table.
No, it's all about, look, someone has to let people make theories, so I have no idea what these things are. I assume a reference to my 3 favorite cereal mascot characters, Toucan Sam,
Tony the Tiger.
Tony the Tiger, and the Smack Puffs Frog, except it's a snake.
Yeah, exactly.
All three of my favorites in one place.
He gave up his limbs to be a god.
Yes. Oh, man. And those Sugar Crisps, really. No, wait, that's a bear.
I don't know. I mean, that's a bear, yeah.
Honey Smacks. Honey Smacks is what I was thinking of. They're all very godlike.
Can't get enough of that Sugar Crisp.
I'm assuming it would probably make sense for Arze to lead the conversation in here, because I feel like Arze would probably get on best with Very.
Yeah, I would say when you enter the igloo, you crawl in. There's the opening area. There's probably like a rug on the ground where you can kind of like sit and talk with the pastor, and that's where the statues are. And then there's like a tunnel down to. There's probably two tunnels actually, one to like a little kitchen area and one to a little sleeping area. And I bet as soon as you enter the igloo, you just hear these raucous snores, just like pigs. Oh my word, have you heard the oinkers on these fools? It's amazing, and they sound like they're constantly leaking. I love it.
Slime slithers quickly to the sleeping pig.
Okay, Slime immediately penguins over to Very, who's asleep.
And then gets close to their face. So very close.
Okay.
And the pig opens their eyes, and I say, every day I await the moment of your death so that we can finally know each other truly. And then in that moment, you will really understand your gods.
I think Very stares at you with just true existential horror, and a single teardrop slips from his eye as he contemplates infinity in the endless void of death.
Neely shouts from the back of the room, obviously only if you consent to having your brain eaten after death, because at Slime, as you remember, it's very important that you get people's agreement before you eat brains. Not everyone is chill about it.
Yes. Yeah, I remember.
Very rubs his eyes and sits up, and he says, brain eating is very cool with the kids these days, but you know who's even cooler? And from nowhere, he pulls out a chair, and he turns it around backwards and sits on it, and it says,
"Oh shit! Oh no, we walked into the youth session. Damn it!
Can I slam the doors closed from outside?
Yes, genius. You could just slam the igloo door from far away. Oh god, I went to youth group for so many years just for this moment.
Same. Oh no.
He rolls up the sleeves of his robe he was inexplicably wearing while napping. It says, "What about our lords and saviors, the Trinity, our most beloved figures of worship and love?"
I was there when your gods died.
Oh my god. I'm getting lightheaded for real.
I could show you when you die.
You didn't expect that conversation to happen, Austin?
I didn't see that coming. I think Very takes a moment to like do a very loud cartoon gulp and then refixes his look on Neely, who's clearly trying to save him, and says, "Well, you know, our ladies actually did live and die mortal lives, and that makes them much more relatable, don't you think? They're like the cool kids who teach you the way."
Consent to your consumption when you die and embrace immortality.
We have more pressing matters to deal with than your insistence on eating Very's brains here, Slime.
Sorry. With all this going on, I almost forgot there's other stuff going on. We got attacked by nacho cheese.
Now, we all know gluttony is a sin, but you know what's not a sin? A nice bowl of kale.
I worry that if we don't get our current conundrum solved, there will be not for kale nor nacho cheese for the stretch of this winter that is before us, Very.
Yeah, I should probably explain more. Short version, we left town and we found one of the carts that was leaving, and the people who had the cart were dead or missing, and we got attacked by some haunted rice, and then the ghost moved into the nacho cheese. The restaurant's fine, by the way. Whatever it is seems to be susceptible to radiantness, and we thought maybe... Do you know anything about religion-based food ghosts?
Now, there's no wrong answer for picking who to go talk to, but of all the people, I think Very was probably the best. He knows exactly what to do in this situation. He says, a yokai. It's funny you say ghost. Yokai could be translated as ghost. It's a nuanced word, but there are many different kinds of yokai. Some are more like animals. Some are kind of like people. Some are objects, which kind of get up and dance around. It's great fun to see. But a ghost type, whew, now there's something I can help you with. I know all about exorcisms.
Are you who we're supposed to call when there's a ghost around?
Well, I would never bust. Busting is a sin.
Is it not true that, though, as the scripture says, that busting makes me feel good?
A lot of things make us feel good, Neellith, but that doesn't mean we should do them. I only bust in my heart for the Lords.
I really want the episode to be busting for the Lord now.
Aze just sort of like looks around, does a gesture of his hand, and like star patterns just start forming along the curve of the igloo while the little banter is happening. I'm slowly renaming all of Aze's spells and features over time to stylize them a little bit better. So instead of Druidcraft, it's Starcraft, just there you go, right?
But the check's in the mail, Blizzard.
That's right.
Okay, I was thinking about busting for the Lord. So if you got yourself a ghost yokai situation, I'd say there's probably two different ways to handle it. One is to find the source of the terrible grief that binds this ghost to our world. I imagine somewhere this ghost has a body and the body's very sad. On the other hand, if it's a food yokai, I know just the solution for that. See, the food wants to be eaten. Doesn't that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Now, you can't kill the food because food isn't alive anymore. I guess you could eat a living creature, but who would be so awful? Now, if you ate the food possessed by the yokai and then you died, you would take the spirit with you to the afterworld.
To clarify something about this, the cart that the yokai was found upon, it was occupied before. Whoever had the cart was no more when we arrived. So are you suggesting that the yokai either is from the spirit of the people on the cart seeking solace, or merely that it attacked them and they were incapable of consuming it before it consumed them?
I think Very gets up, gets another chair, turns that one around, and then sits down on it. It says, well, Aze, think to yourself, what would have to happen to you for you to have such a terrible anger in your heart that you come back to this world and hurt people?
I mean, for a food ghost, get told I wasn't delicious.
Well, I don't think the person who is the ghost was food originally, although I think probably something traumatic and food related happened to them.
Oh God, I hope that my restaurant isn't why they're a ghost now. God, did they have that bad a time? I knew I should have replaced all the neon lights.
I said earlier that you all rolled so well last episode that you kind of had some benefits still kind of in the chamber, as it were, things that you didn't have enough information really to pay off. I think I'm going to pull the trigger on one of those now, which is your investigation of the cart scene last episode was so good that I'm going to say it clicks for you, Aze, that probably what happened was that someone journeying up or down the mountain starved to death.
Oh no.
Yeah.
After being probably refused food by these merchants, and that's why their ghost attached to the food in their cart.
If one were to apply the principle of retribution, one could assume that the merchants might have wronged the spirit that then inhabited the food that attacked them.
Could we make this better by making a nice, tasty, delicious meal for the food yokai? Hey, you starved to death? Here's some beans on toast.
forgive me the crude metaphor, but I believe that would probably be akin to forging it a very fancy sword.
It needs to be consumed.
I think there are probably two ways to deal with this. Maybe one, find the body of the person who so tragically starved to death and put them to rest. Or two, eat the possessed food and die.
I don't like the second one.
I will eat it, but only if the pig consents to consumption after death.
I'm of the mind to find the original victim of all this and give them their due and proper rest, even beyond resolving the matter regarding the yokai. It just feels wrong to allow an individual's body to not be given some form of dignity if that dignity is warranted.
I think Very first says, well, Slime, as much as the idea of you eating my flesh does make me uncomfortable.
Your brain.
Brain is flesh, dear. I think it would be an act of humble charity to allow you to have what I do not require anymore. I have to admit that would probably be a holy act. So I'm not against that necessarily. I do want to caution that going to retrieve the body of someone who starved to death on the mountain would mean leaving town during the winter, which is dangerous at the best of times, but especially with, the frost giants out there, not the safest option.
I shall consume the spirit and then the flesh in the spring.
I don't think consuming the flesh would necessarily be putting it to rest in a proper form.
If it would help, whatever form the thing takes next, I can sprinkle some hypothala munch on it if that would help spice it up a little for you.
You always know what to say.
Genius, are you doing any particularly rude hand gestures outside?
No, I closed the door the moment you started turning chairs around. Fuck that noise.
Have any of you heard the music of the band Creed? I have some wonderful albums here.
I appreciate the offer, but I do believe we have more pressing matters to attend to at this time.
Thank you for your help. I will make sure to go outside and let the genius of Grendel know that we were correct to come and seek your help and that they were wrong.
By the way, I figured he was more of a Skillet fan myself. And then Ozzy starts leaving.
Oh yeah, Very definitely says after Neely, give Genie my regards. Make sure they know they're welcome here anytime. There's no shame in...
I'll make sure to give them your POD CD.
I eagerly await your death. Fear not, I am patient, and I will not quicken it.
Okay, well, the genius is extremely welcome and Slime less so, I have to say.
Hey, genius. We came to the right place the first time. You were wrong. This is the right place to go. They knew stuff.
Oh, I did not ever say that Very did not know things. I think that Very is a very stupid professional. That is a waste of time. But I am glad that they have helped with this.
I mean, is it a waste of time if they tell us exactly 100% everything we need to know straight away with very little difficulty?
Did you?
You couldn't do that.
Did you have to listen to a conversation about busting?
I mean, that's inevitable with Very, but
Are you happy to have somebody who is asking you about your busting?
I mean, I did leave with some recommendations of new, mildly religious rock bands to probably not try listening to, so...
I heard Very once...
Doing okay.
Very once said that erections are your penis wanting to see the world.
That's actually a true statement. One of the priests at my grade school gave us during father's class, where you have to you have to do like sex ed talk with the priest at the school, and that was like he was like, yeah, it's just your penis wanting to see the world. You're like,
My youth group was so much more chill. We just watched Rent until the adults left, and then we smoked weed.
So yeah, Aze will say over to Genius of Grendel, the recommended course of action amounts to one of two things. One is to find the body of the spirit that is currently inhabiting the food, who is someone who most likely died of starvation after being refused food by the merchants whose cart we came across. Or we find whatever the yokai possessed next, have slime consume it, and then have slime perish, slime's body perish, to have the spirit be dismissed appropriately.
And what one do you guys want?
Well,
I mean, the option.
I
would
wish to die.
I mean, slime seems to know what they want, and I would rather not go out into the place where we're going to freeze to death and also probably die.
Although if we continue to fight all of the food in town, we will have none left when winter comes around.
You are correct. At the worst case scenario, any food that gets splatted, I will still collect it up and make some nice stew out of it. We'll make it work, but yeah.
I'm still going to make a note about this. And Aze pulls out one of his books from his little messenger bag and writes down some notes about the existence of a body from someone who has been wronged, effectively killed due to the ill intent of someone else. Is to try to find that body at a later time, not in the immediate, obviously, but
Yeah. Seasons usually run around 40 episodes. There's time.
yeah. But Aze will then nod to Neellith. It's if you and Slime are of the mind to go with this route, my only suggestion is that we be as quick about this as we can.
I agree, but also, at least this way we're here where the food is and can stop it getting too destroyed by the yokai. If we leave town, who knows what the yokai could do while we're trying to get to the body.
As far as I've seen so far, it hides until agitated, so...
I'm glad the thing's at my restaurant. Anything that happens now is fine.
I suggest that we probably give Applewhite a visit to see if anything is happening over on their farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the party leaves Very's igloo and goes back to the farm at the edge of town, and you're all kind of...
Question?
Yeah?
Sorry. As we leave, where's the shores?
During travel scenes, we usually have inter-party conversations, which we can still do. But if you want to also address the shore situation, I think now would actually be a great time to build up to this confrontation.
Can I just cast Speak with Animals as a ritual? I know that'll take about 10 minutes to pull off, but is that possible for us to do en route?
Yep. During transportation scenes, in transit, we can do rituals. That's not a big deal.
Yeah, so Aze is going to cast Speak with Animals as a ritual and then regard the shores for a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know if we mentioned rituals on the podcast in a while, but that just means you can do it without a spell slot if you are undisturbed during the time.
Right. Yeah. So he prepares and casts it and then regards the shores and gives a little bit of a pat and say, "It looks like you've been through quite a lot today."
My hooves are cold.
Yes, it is very cold around here. We'll have to find a way to help with that later on.
I want a scarf.
1 second. And Aze reaches into his messenger bag. He has multiple scarves on hand. We talked about this in the Discord. Aze has multiple star maps, and each star map has its own scarf that is coordinated with. So Aze just kind of takes care of one of the scarves from the messenger bag and just sort of wraps it around the Shor's neck a little bit to give it a little something there and gives it another pat on the side. It's like,
now I'm styling.
You sure are there. Do you have a name?
Oh, it's not pronounceable in your language, but I guess now because of this snazzy scarf, you could call me Drip.
Well, Drip, can you tell me about what you saw earlier when your cart was disrupted after you left town.
Oh, yeah, we were going down the mountain back to where we came from. And all of a sudden, a bunch of bees, big white bees, came buzzing out of the cart. And they attacked. And the humans, they tried to stop them. And they got all ate up. And they cut us loose. And then they got all ate up and we ran away.
That does seem to line up with what we know. Well, at the very least, you are safe.
I'm safe and sexy.
I would not be able to comment on that latter part, but we'll have to figure out what to do with you after this situation with the bees has been resolved.
What to do with me? I need socks.
We'll need to find you a place where you can keep warm at the very least.
My mental image of this hammerhead shark horse hybrid is rapidly becoming just a really strange goofball. And I think he's definitely going to try to steal clothes from the party as they go. I think, Neely, do you have like mittens?
Yes, 100% tiny little oven mittens.
Okay, I think Drip is going to take an oven mitt from you if possible and try to put it on his hooves.
Neely will not begrudgingly, it's a moment of begrudgingment, and then it's like, okay, that's actually going to look really adorable, so yes,
Okay.
they're handed over.
Genius, do you have anything fun to steal? A hat, maybe?
Yeah, so I haven't mentioned it to this point, but visually in my mind, I like to think that the genius wore like these sort of faux, like very fancy, like military inspired attire, like, you know, like old school, like Napoleon kind of stuff and things along those lines.
Yeah.
So I imagine there is just like this absurdly over the top fancy, but like with like steampunk gears hanging out of it, Napoleon style hat, and you can just gank.
Okay. Slime, you don't wear clothes, so I can't really. I think probably Drip tries to pull on your hair and then finds it doesn't come off and just gives up.
Okay, do you want to slop some slime on him? Is your slime, like, does it insulate heat at all?
I give some slime in solidarity. It appears as I pick up on the fact that it desires clothes, and I misinterpret it and put some slime on it.
Oh.
It doesn't like it, but
It's called style, bitch! Look it up, haters!
In any case, I appreciate your information, Drip. We will discuss things later.
It's noticeable now, Drip, having a personality, suddenly walks in a very ostentatious way, like they're doing a runway.
I think the clothing is only encouraging that even more, so...
Absolutely. You cast a Speak with Animals spell, and something unlocked within this shark horse, and now...
This is exactly why I'm like... People ask me, like, what's the horse's name? I'm like, that's what Speak with Animals is for, you know?
So you're correct, you know, you should ask the horse where possible what their name is. In my head, I couldn't stop thinking of the sentence, Chauncey the Shorse.
Chauncey was what his prior owner named him. Drip is his true name. Okay.
I was going to say Chauncey was the horse that got away, because there was two that got cut free.
That's true. That's right. Chauncey the coward. No,
Chauncey ran down the path and back to town, and Drip ran into the forest because his brain doesn't work.
Well, in any Aze gives like Drip another like reassuring pat and just continues to walk with everyone else.
This is so funny because we're 3 episodes in and we've already broke the only 10 named NPCs rule that I was very excited about, but that's how it goes.
By the end of this season, we're going to name the child that has a cat.
So as we're like heading to the farm, the genius is just going to turn to Slime and say,
I have a question for you, Slime.
ask away.
What are you?
Slime.
Interesting. Now, is this a sentient form of slime?
Very astute of you, yes.
Now, earlier, you mentioned that you were there when the gods died, and you did not seem to be telling a lie.
Wait, you weren't there?
I can hear things.
Okay.
Is this a case of the genius secretly wanted to be in the room, so had their ear pressed up against the door, like, I want to know what's happening?
There's a flashback of Bloops in the corner of the room listening.
Yep. It is on the stat sheet that Bloops can transmit images and things that it sees into my mind.
Mm-hmm. But you're in character. You've now been busted as having been listening.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
It's an open secret. We all know.
I was aware when the gods fell, yes.
So how old would that make you?
Longer than you can imagine.
Interesting. I have always been under the belief that things live that long eventually come to an end.
It's possible, but improbable.
The gods died, but you do not.
At that time, I wasn't as complex as I am now.
Oh, intriguing. So what is it that you are in our town for, then?
To learn and experience things. Things I haven't experienced before.
You've lived all that time, and there are things you still have not experienced?
I grew very slowly.
And I mean, look, no matter how long someone's been alive, my cooking is something that, kind of experienced that in the past or somewhere else. Whew.
You don't know what you don't know until you know it. That was bad. Awful. Delete that. Delete it.
Drip is like, damn, that's deep.
Does the horse just talk all the time now?
No, only Aze can understand Drip.
Okay, I was like, does the horse just talk? You're like, the horse steps on one of those devices that lets animals talk and their words come out as people noises.
I know, I like the idea that Drip can talk shit about all of you, but Aze just politely won't translate.
Are you a malicious spirit?
No.
Oh, then we are good then.
He should unfurl a huge scroll of questions, and it just says, "Are you a malicious spirit?" and then just blank for the whole rest.
I just burn it up afterwards. The rest is unnecessary.
I trust you. You wouldn't give up the chance to learn more things and eat more brains if not for some reason. I trust you.
Well, we were talking about gods earlier. Most creation myths revolve around a god dying and everyone eating their body and making the world, or coming out of their body, or consuming them in some way. So what is there to be afraid of?
I mean, missing out on eating particular brains, there's that, but,
If you died and I put a seed over your body, the tree would eat your body, and then the birds would eat the seeds, and then you would fly with the birds, wouldn't you?
I would, but I wouldn't get to do any more people stuff before that happened. I know that's going to happen. I'm chill about it when it does happen. I would like to get a lot of things done before that.
It's funny because Mari has not listened to the last season, but just accidentally summarized the entire plot, which is very funny.
Oops.
Yes.
I mean,
You
yeah.
were just like, all gods, their story involves them dying, and then you plant a seed, and it's just like, okay, dog spoilers for the...
I didn't listen to it.
I know! It's just very funny.
Thematic.
Have you ever eaten the brain of somebody whose life has disappointed you?
No.
Oh. No one's life has ever felt unfulfilled?
Every action and everything I learn is an enjoyment I consider a treasure.
But what about for the people you've consumed? Do they experience regret?
They're dead. They experience nothing. I would say they did not value the experiences that they got to have.
And Drip says, and so you value it for them.
Yes. Yes, I do.
You can't understand me, bitch.
I value all experiences. For example, my left breast is underneath one of your houses right now, experiencing what it's like to be a disembodied breast.
All right, no one's going to be able to follow that up, so I should just say, as you approach the farm,
Whose house?
a
I don't know right now.
a number of tum-tums come rolling up to greet the party, and they love Ozzy specifically, and they're like rolling all around your feet as you walk up to the farm, like next to Drip.
The tum-tums are about... Wait a minute. Funny, a question. Speak with Animals is still active, which means I could talk to the tum-tums, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so Ozzy is going to
There can't be any more animals this season. This is already overwhelming.
we're going to force as many as we can. Anyways, Ozzy is just going to think about the performance like, tum-tums, is something the matter back at the farm?
You say that to the tum-tums. And actually, they don't have mouths. I wonder if I bet they communicate via like pheromones. So what you get isn't words, it's meaning. And you understand fossil sprouts, danger, earthquake?
Oh no, not the fossil sprouts.
It's like Ozzy just was like, fossil sprouts, danger, earthquake. Oh no.
And as you get up to the barbed wire fence, you see Farmer Applewhite walking over just very casually. She's a larger lady, and she's kind of just taking her time, chewing on her piece of wheat, and she says, "Oh, hi there. Funny seeing you again so soon."
Hey, there's a ghost living in the fossil sprouts.
Oh, no, that's just how they are.
No, there is actually a ghost living in the fossil sprouts.
As you say that, you hear a terrible ripping noise. It's hard to explain because you never heard anything quite like it, but the ground shakes and there's just this tearing, ripping noise from further down the field. And Applewhite's mouth drops open and the shock of wheat drops out and floats to the ground.
Ozzy will remark to the tum-tums and to Drips like, all right, you all stay a safe distance away while we take care of the situation, you all.
Oh no, what's going on? Did you bring the flesh fruit?
We brought more than just the flesh fruit. In short, a person starved and their spirit is getting retribution through food itself.
Dexterity saving throw as a dozen potatoes go flying through the air and begin landing on all of you.
Oh no. Dexterity saving throws? Oh no.
18.
Success.
14.
Success.
5. Not a success.
Slime and Ozzy get hit in the face with giant potatoes. I say giant, like, fist-sized potatoes, but they've been thrown with such force that they hit you like a fist, like a trained boxer punching you in the eye, and you take 3 damage. Neely and the genius dodge. Farmer Applewhite goes ass over tea kettle and just dearie me. Okay, I'm off. Bye. And she starts running with the tum-tums as you indicated she needs to get to safety. I think unless you have a better suggestion, I think she's just running.
I would also instruct Drip to go to the barn and keep them safe.
Oh, yeah, I'm too damn beautiful to get hurt out here.
I know that the yokai is to be the charm, but what if? What if
Drip charms the yokai? Roll initiative.
Shit, okay.
You can go first. You have all the radiant damage.
That's true. I'm going to be using Guiding Bolt yet again because that thing's been doing a lot of heavy lifting.
16 initiative.
Neely's up first again.
Again? Okay.
You mess with the restaurant, you get the restaurant.
The best
The
restaurant.
rest,
I didn't have it.
yeah.
So this time around, it's vegetables and plant-based foods that are being taken over, right?
Yeah, so basically what happens is as Drip, the Tum-Tums, and Farmer Applewhite run off to the barn to seek shelter, you all, open up the fence and run inside of the farm, and you see a big field is like tearing itself out of the ground in a giant humanoid monstrosity. I'd say, several stories high, but still partially attached to the ground by the roots. It's like struggling to get up. It's a conglomeration of potatoes, Brussels sprouts, watermelons, pumpkins, all kinds of ground-based stuff, and also some fantasy fruits that we'd have to workshop together right now that you don't know. And it's like trying to pull itself together and up. And so if it does successfully stand, it's going to become much deadlier.
Yeah, I'm very glad that you said that it's still attached to the ground with roots and that it is trying to pull itself together, because to me that says it is still connected to the network of roots in the ground, and not all of the plants involved in it are necessarily connected to the yokai yet. So I'm going to cast Speak with Plants.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so I have, like, 2 things I'm hoping to, I'm crossing my fingers I can achieve with this. First of all, any plants that are able to, I want to be fighting against this thing getting up. So, the roots in the ground trying to pull it back down, the bits of animated plant on the thing trying to wrestle themselves off it. Secondly, I imbue plants with the ability to communicate with me. I want to try and talk to this yokai.
Yeah, so this is going to involve a lot of home brewing and on the fly thinking, because none of this is rules as written. So here's what I'm going to say. Your spellcasting modifier is charisma, because you're a bard, so I'm going to try to save against this, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah.
This ghost made of food is not a very charismatic bastard. 16.
Good gosh.
Against my spell save DC, that does beat my DC.
Ooh, okay, wow, very lucky roll. I had a -3 modifier there. So what happens is you can talk to the plants, but they cannot exert influence the way you want yet. If you try again and you succeed, then we'll work through your desires. But basically, I think the plants right now all can speak to you, Neellith, and they're all saying like, "Hurry, hurry! It's getting up! It's taking over my mind."
Can I speak to the yokai via these plants?
Not with that failure, no.
Okay. I think speak with plants is my whole action, so I tried.
Bonus action to give someone else inspiration if you wish.
Oh, yeah. I will give Arze bardic inspiration. So I throw them just like a very. I promised them some really good stew, the really good stuff. I'm gonna put a couple of little bit of extra spice in it this time. The mystery spice that I never tell Arze what is.
It's crystal meth.
I was gonna say it was something very simple like paprika.
Taste the rainbow.
Or sugar.
Crystal meth, taste the rainbow.
I just drop a little bit of LSD in there. It's great.
Oh, actually, that makes sense. Oh.
At the end of your turn, Neellith, legendary action, 18 to hit you.
Yeah.
13 damage. What kind of? I think probably a bunch of carrots get ripped out of the ground beneath you, like a knife trap. Like a punji trap, right? Like where you fall into it, but it's carrots instead of stakes, and you get kind of stabbed by a bunch of carrots, and it's Slime's turn.
I like to think because Speak with Plants is active, the carrots are there like, we're sorry.
We didn't mean it.
I don't know how we grew so sharp.
Yokais are mysterious.
I cast a level 3 Ray of Sickness, which I'll remind everyone looks like disgusting pustules exploding out of my body onto the giant pile of potatoes trying to escape the earth.
Mm-hmm.
So I do.
It's an attack. So it's a D20 plus 7 for the attack roll.
27. I got a crit.
Okay.
Perfect natural 20 plus 7.
So that means that you roll double the number of dice you would for the spell. So instead of 4d8, it's 8d8 damage.
What happens is I just open my mouth and my chest cavity and all my other holes. I'm talking nose, ears, butthole, vagina. And it's all just pouring a huge just torrent of disgusting, like, ooze all over these potatoes. Just endless. Just it keeps going. You're like, where is it coming from? You don't know. It's too much, and it's more disturbing the longer it goes on. And I got a 35.
I think a Constitution saving throw not to be sickened, right?
Yeah.
18. I have succeeded.
Yeah. Yeah. The only concern here is like, I hope this doesn't spoil the food.
It is actually at the end of your turn, Slime.
I collapse to the ground, expending so much ooze from my body.
I hate that. I rolled a 22 to attack you. That's going to hit. 15. I think what happens is when you collapse to the ground, you land in some peppers, and all the peppers kind of swell and burst and hit you with like corrosive burning acid for 15 damage.
Got it.
It is now the yokai's turn. The yokai is going to use its action to fully rip itself up out of the ground and start to stand up. This is now like a full-fledged vegetable giant now. And this is going to give it bonus strength and HP going forward in this fight. So that's its action, is to basically enter Super Saiyan veggie form. And it's Aze's turn.
I wonder if this thing counts as a shapeshifter.
I think you have a moonbeam, I believe, does something special, is what you're alluding to.
Yes, I do. I'm also changing the name of Moonbeam to Lunar Interjection, is what I'm calling it now.
Okay.
So yeah, Aze does motion with his little star map orb, spins the top and bottom, stops on a certain combination of constellations, and then light flickers above the yokai as it stands up, and then the silvery beam of light pierces down upon it, and it must make a Constitution saving throw. If it's a shapeshifter, if a shape changer, the saving throw is made with disadvantage.
Yes. So that's a 14. I actually have something I'm going to use here called a legendary resistance, which means if a creature would fail, it can choose to succeed, and I can do that 3 times, and bosses usually have those, because there's some spells which kind of instantly win a fight, and you don't want your boss to go out like a chump.
No, that's complete. That's fine. It does confirm Aze's thought, though, and it still takes half damage at this point here. So
I think the flavor of this is, once again, like the snow clouds above part, you see the portal above, and then a beam comes down from the stars above and hits this thing, and it starts to come apart, like the rutabagas come apart from the eggplants, and it starts to fall, and then it just through a
wills itself back. Yeah.
Supernatural willpower just stops the degradation.
So it takes 7 damage from that, and then Aze will follow up by reapplying his starry form, which I'm also rechanging the name of in the middle section to Astrological Singularity, because it's 2 constellations forming into 1 singularity. And he's going to reapply the manipulator and do his bonus shot at the yokai. Question: what is the bardic inspiration die, Laura?
It is a D. Let me double check.
I think it's 6.
D8.
D8. Nice. Fantastic. Aze throws a 29 to hit the yokai with that shot there, and does 9 radiant damage. Also, both the damages are radiant, by the way. So
at the end of Aze's turn, because I just had the yokai's turn, which lets us recharge its legendary actions, 22. Damn, the yokai does not miss. 16. I think. What is the meanest fruit or vegetable? I think star fruit thrown like shuriken is definitely what my mental image is, the deadliest kind of fruit attack. So I think a couple of those stick in you, Aze.
A durant, those big spiky balls.
Oh, a durian.
Yeah, durian.
Oh, yeah. Okay, a Genius of Grendel, take your turn, and then I'm going to fuck you with a durian.
Whoa.
Okay.
I thought we weren't being horny.
And I don't have to pay to the Patreon for that? My lucky day. All right. The genius is going to sit there and think,
Oh, what would help here? What would help here?
And then just say fuck it, and I'm gonna cast Grease Throw because I want to see what it does.
All right, yeah. So normally grease is like something you can set on fire. That's obviously a very interesting application of that. I think additionally, it's going to degrade the cohesion of this kind of conglomeration. So,
Well, we'll still anything that's in the square where the grease comes in has to make a dexterity saving throw or fall prone.
10, that's gonna fail. So I think, yeah, this giant thing's like trying to stand up and all the roots are pulling down on it, and then you just shoot out of a nozzle on your wheelchair, really greasy, nasty substance on it, and it kind of crumbles back down to the ground. So everyone will have advantage until it gets back up on its turn. And also, it's extremely flammable now, Neellith.
Ah, you don't say.
I do, in fact, say.
Okay, so Neellith is going to, place her frying pan against the creature and cast heat metal.
Oh, fuck! I didn't know! Oh my god, that's so good!
Yeah!
That's really good.
Yeah, do it!
Exactly.
Holy shit.
And as we confirmed earlier in the episode, she's got oven gloves, so this is fine.
You're flabéing it. You're flabéing it.
Exactly. So that's
Yokai Foster. We got Yokai Foster.
2d8 fire damage.
Well, here's what I'm going to say is that now normally I could use a legendary resistance to make this fail, but I think now this is where we improv what Greasa does that Grease can't, which is just overwhelming firepower that can't be magically resisted. So I think, I mean, Neellith, feel free to paint me a picture of this, but I think you catch the yokai on fire and you have yourself a little ghost roast. And then Slime, you paint the next part of the picture. You've won. Paint me if it just mwah.
So I think that the way that this works is that Neellith is using the flaming frying pan to try and sort of shivvy this thing away from the rest of the fruits and vegetables and things in the farm that we're trying not to impact. Much as someone might, flip a pancake in a frying pan. I'm not suggesting that you can actually flip this thing, but trying to use the frying pan to sort of shivvy it away as it's on fire, shaking it around as best as possible, ready for slime.
I take my hands and I put them in my mouth and I pull at my jaw until it detaches, like the jawbone detaches from my skull, so that my mouth is bigger. And then I grab pieces of the monster and start shoving it down my throat as fast as I can. And then my stomach is just distending and getting bigger and bigger to the point where you can actually see the outline of the potatoes inside of my belly area.
Body horror.
And it's just unnatural, but I keep doing it.
I mentally tuned out for a second and I thought I was on fucking Pixel Square again because I was like, oh, this sounds like you're describing fucking inflation shit.
Yeah, so does the fire kill you or does somebody else execute you and put you out of your misery?
I can feel death approaching and I turn to Neellith and say, my dying wish, as is customary to all those who die, is that you leave my corpse to rot by the side of the road.
That's also my dying wish, for the record.
I think we can do that. I don't know how much it's going to rot in the snowy time, but we will leave it there until it does.
So, as you say this, Aze, who's collapsed to the ground because he takes one hit and is near death every single time in a fight, he just sort of gestures with his hand, and the beam from the moon just passes through Slime's body.
The beam comes down, thinner than you would think, through my skull into my body, and then slices me in half. And then my two halves fall apart, and all the potatoes come out perfectly roasted. They smell amazing.
Oh, God.
Because the monster actually rolled around in the herb patch, and now they're just perfectly roasted potatoes. And from being inside me and cooking, they all became like really well seasoned. But my body is like really just cut in half. You can see all the putridness, but the potatoes are perfect. They're perfectly cooked.
I think during this, Neellith is just gonna float down to the ground and just hold Slime's hand.
I think from the pile of perfectly cooked potatoes, you see a kind of humanoid ghost like rise up, just like the white spectral outline of a person kind of float out, look around with just the vaguest shape of eyes, not like well drawn. You can't even tell what species this person was, but they regard all of you with a kind of peaceful glance, and they just kind of fade away.
Including Slime's corpse. They gave the peaceful glance to Slime's corpse.
Yeah, I think that the spirit has been freed and looks at all of you gratefully.
Perfect.
Because the ritual is complete. Even though, Slime, you aren't quote-unquote dead the same way that person is dead.
After that, Odze is going to basically just collapse for a moment himself, and the light from the moon dissipates as he just takes a good moment to just sort of catch his breath on the ground.
So the genius is going to roll over to Slime's corpse and is just going to look at it and say,
I am curious to see what form you take next. You have become very interesting to me. But we are done here now, yes? I am off to do research.
Neellith is going to pull the body over to the side of the road.
Perfect.
And try and make up a nice little, put a little mound of snow to be a pillow. Just, try and make the body look comfortable at least.
So, as Neellith is placing my body very nicely, my two split halves, all the slime on and inside my body starts to ooze out, and then it forms the letters BRB. And then it starts slithering towards the graveyard, but then it stops, slithers back towards the body, plucks out the two eyeballs, and kind of floats them up like two stalks so it can see and look. And then it looks at Neellith and said, needed this.
And William.
And William. And then slithers over to Az and goes BRB because, they would want to know too. And then slithers off to the graveyard and finds a good body. This body they find is pretty fresh, pretty good. But it's masculine presenting. And Slime remembers that many members of the community don't like gender-morphic body parts to be present, but clothes are uncomfortable for Slime. So Slime rips off their genitals and throws them into the forest, thus making their body completely acceptable for the public.
Yep, that's how it works.
And the penis is now crawling around like a caterpillar in the forest.
Slime, you slither into your new body, sticking William's skull to it, affixing it on top.
Of course.
As you normally do. You tear the genitals off, walk over to the boreal forest, and just chuck the disembodied penis into the trees.
Yes.
And then you turn around, and staring at you with two unblinking spotlight eyes, literally shining like two beacons, is the gravedigger, who just gives you a knowing smile.
Thank you again, friend.
I was following the pack, all swallowed in their coats, with scarves of red tied round their throats to keep their little heads from falling in the snow. And I turned round and there you go, and Michael, you would fall and turn the white snow red as strawberries in the summertime.